Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between all around the world, and especially to our Nature Kids families who are participating in our awesome program, curriculum. We have today with us Sunny Ray. She's an international singer-songwriter. We're so blessed to have her in our community here in far north Queensland. She's originally from New Zealand. She has so much diversity in her life, and that's why we brought her on for a conversation today to share with us how she uses diversity and values diversity in her life because of her many offerings. And Sunny actually was one of the first facilitators of our Nature Kids program way back in 2017. And she does work very closely with children. Inspires them through play and music, and there's so much that she's going to share with us. So I'm Tennille Christensen, this is Samantha Jurgens. We're the co-creators of the Nature Kids program for families. Sunny Ray is going to share her life with us now, and Samantha's going to ask the questions. So thank you for joining us, Sunny.
Yeah, great to have you here, Sunny. Thank you so much for joining us today. So we'll jump straight in if you're ready. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, like what you get up to during your days for work and play?
Hi everyone, it's great to be here. My name's Sunny Ray, and like Tennille said, I was originally from New Zealand, but I'm now based in far north Queensland. And I'm so excited about this topic, diversity. So my days change all the time. And I like to fill them with lots of different things because I like to keep it fresh and have adventure, and I like to constantly be inspired by my life. So there's definitely an element of management that has to come into play to manage so many different, bits and pieces and how they all fit together in some kind of a routine. But there's like a season for everything, There's a time periods where I'm passionate about something, and that's what I'm going to pursue in that time. There's other times where my focus is elsewhere. So it's just really working with balancing all those time frames and bringing as much fun and diversity into my life as I can while still, making a living.
Awesome. So can you share what is that diversity? Because I know you do some pretty surprising things. Like most people wouldn't know that you work for the fireys, that you put out fires and work with the local fire department in Kuranda here, and have done so in New Zealand. But tell us what fills that inspiring schedule of yours.
Well, that's like looking in a forest and saying to me, like, tell me all the things in this forest. So thanks for pointing that out. Well, at a base level, like some of my really, really basic work is working with children. I work one-on-one with children in childcare because I really love that relationship. It's like my job is to bond and love and care for and help develop positive life belief systems in young children. So I'm helping them have a relationship with the world that is going to serve them and also make them, a good person for the world as well, so teaching them about respecting nature and communicating properly and understanding their emotions and self-respect and negotiation, all the kind of things that that one-on-one care can nurture. And when parents are away and they don't have that time, we don't want our children to miss out on those kind of fine details of life. And so that's kind of an in-between job because my main focus is music. So I'm a singer-songwriter, and I've traveled all over the world performing with my music, and I just love writing songs, and I love sharing that, and I love impacting people emotionally from what I create and really digging into some topics that resonate for others but that aren't always spoken about. So that's taken me, like I said, all over the world, and that's kind of like a periodic thing as well. So I might book a tour, and then I might be on the road for 2 or 3, 4 months touring, performing, and then I might come home and rest, and then I might get into my garden and do some other things at home. Or then I might focus on recording, or writing. First you're going to write, creative time for writing, and then once those songs are written, you're going to go into recording. And then again back to touring and performing, which at the moment with the world situation, the performing element hasn't been so much of a present in my life. So I have been recording. On the side note, I liked something physical. So music is very emotional and creative. It's very sedentary when I'm in that flow, you know. So what I like about my work with the fire service, it's very like hands-on and practical, logical, you know, so that kind of nurtures that masculine side of me to like go out and do stuff. And you know, blending that creative and physical. I'm also really passionate about circus and circus art. So doing a lot of aerials, spent a lot of time training like with juggling and lots of things, everything to do with circus, and putting on circus shows and teaching children circus. You know, there's all this right-left brain coordination. It's a challenge. It's a confidence it gained from doing something that's really hard. So that's been a massive passion of mine, and it's been a way that I've kept physical fitness while, you know, being a musician and being somewhat sedentary with you know, with children as well. It can be quite slow paced. So I need something to like amp myself up over. And you know, coming back to that songwriting, like the passion for the songwriting comes from an original passion for writing. I always kept diaries as a young person. I wrote poems. I love playing with words and telling stories, and that's really part of what I'm starting to express now is my writing through children's books and young readers' novels. So things that can express the kind of things I'm teaching to children in my daily work, but through story context. And branching out from that, I started creating audio stories for children, you know, and then putting music behind them. And so that's something I want to pursue in the future, is like recording those audio stories and with the music and creating that as another offering musically. So that's just a way that I'm able to bring all those different skill sets together, and that's what I'm always looking for as an artist who has such a big diversity of like directions I'm passionate about. Is like, okay, there's times when I can't put the energy I want to in some of them, but you know, I'm looking for how do I create in a way that uses and incorporates as many of those as possible.
Great. And I think, you know, the pivot that you've done in terms of not being able to tour with everything that's going on globally, and how lucky we are that you are grounded here in our community for a while again. You've been mentoring budding musicians, and you just created the Bloom performance. Could you share with us about how, you know, the mentoring and coaching that you're doing for these young people?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, like that's a whole nother topic, but it's been just so profoundly impactful for me getting to, you know, participate with young people, like teenagers musically like this. So I, like you said, look, I can't tour and perform at the same level that I was. So I was like, what else can I do? You know, and so one of the other dreams I had was music mentoring young girls, just like me, like who, you know, at the age that I started, but I didn't have the help. So I'm like, there are other girls out there who are, you know, 13, 14, 15, 16. They're passionate about music. They don't understand the industry, and they don't have anyone guiding them. And, you know, sometimes parents really try to help, and sometimes they are helpful and sometimes they're not, you know. It's just about having the right person. So I implemented this vision and created a program for youth, and that's what I've been doing over the last 3 months. I've been mentoring teenage girls, and there's some really talented girls, and just teaching them about how to create online profiles and how to, you know, the kind of the do's and don'ts with being an artist and songwriting, and working on understanding, you know, some of the platforms they can utilize online, and what how some of the industry works. I did this via Zoom. I did this course, and then we had guest mentors from all over the world jump on our Zoom call as well and talk to the girls about different subjects. So they really loved that, because they got really enriched by hearing other people's stories. You know, I had another young Cairns artist come on who some of the girls knew, and I met her when she was 14 years old, just starting out, and now she's a lot older and she's done this whole music career, and she's living down in Melbourne. And so for her to share her story, like she didn't have to teach the girls anything, just her sharing her story of like, I was this age and this is what I did, and then these things all unfolded for me and now I'm here. Like the girls were just so inspired by that, to go, wow, I can see somebody else doing it.
It's like a diversity of teachers that you brought in.
Yeah, and just trying to get that open discussion thing with them so they can ask the questions and get get that tailored help with things that they're unsure about. And so in conclusion of that program, we really intended to create this live event, and the girls named the event and created the location and all the details about the event. And so that's what you were speaking about before. We called our concert In Bloom, and we had it locally a couple of weeks ago, and it was a massive success. We had a full house. We had beautiful stage dressing and lights, and all the community came together and supported this to happen. So we're very lucky, and the girls made some money out of it. That's what I really wanted as well, for them to create the connection between my art is something that I can actually can provide for me. And because I know that when there's a motivation, you're going to put a lot more into it. And obviously these girls love music, but if they can't see a future and a vision and understand how it can impact or help them in their lives, then it's harder to keep pursuing it as more, they're getting more pressure from school and all these things come in. So yeah, and now I've had the girls in the studio recording their music, and so that was just a conversation. I rang the guy who owned the studio and just said, hey, look, this is my project, this is what I'm doing, and these girls are really passionate about this, and do you want to help us out? Would you offer them a tour of the studio or sitting on in a session or some recording? And he was like, sure, come in and record it. I'd love to, so it just shows what is possible when you just take those steps and those risks and just put it on the table and ask.
Yeah, awesome. And you're doing ongoing coaching, so anyone from around the world, any teenagers from around the world could connect with you and do this, is that correct? Or is it just people from our region?
Yes, I'm going to carry on from that program, because these girls got so much out of it, but if they don't have that continual support, it's what do they do? So I'm here's a recorded version of your original song, but it's they don't know what to then do with that recording, So I'm starting a youth music group, and it's an ongoing one. So we're going to be doing a monthly Zoom call. So there's definitely room for people all over the world to jump on our monthly Zoom call, but then we will be doing a live in-person rehearsal for the ones who are local. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to, sorry, I'm jumping in, but I know you've shared with me things about the music industry that I didn't know. And I see you as sort of a bit of a music activist, in the sense of being an independent music singer-songwriter and producing your own CDs and things. And what you told me about Spotify and how little musicians actually get paid, and Patreon as another option. Can you share with us? Because that's when we look at diversity, it's if we put all of our eggs in one basket and we think that one platform is the solution, then we lose resilience. So I think what you shared with me about Patreon was because then you've got a diversity of supporters as well, so there's layers of it there. So yeah, please share.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to share about that. Just a little bit of a backstory. When I was doing this project with the girls, part of my intention, like what you just spoke, was to give them a realistic vision of what they could achieve as an independent artist, right? Because I think there's this Hollywood dream in the music industry that if you're good enough, one day you'll get discovered and you might get famous and someone else is going to do it all for you. And it didn't happen like that for me, and it didn't happen like that for most other artists that I know. So I wanted to, without kind of crushing anyone's dreams, because, sure, anything's possible, but I wanted to kind of take them out of thinking that there was going to be some thing that came and did it for them, and give them the practical steps of how they could. So the girls started with this idea that I have to play my music for some random person on the other side of the world who I don't know. But yet they didn't want to even share it with their own friends and family because they were, too shy. So this is where I had to help them to understand that their most powerful allies are their own inner circles. First, their family, their extended family, the friends of their family, their friends' families. I had to teach them about using their local network and building from the inside out, and that's why we called this concert In Bloom, and we're talking about this this way of nature and the blossoming from the inside out. It's that's how you girls are going to succeed, is by valuing what you have right now and taking advantage of those resources, asking those people around you. So it was a big step for them to ask their own friends and family to show up to their concert. But had they not, they wouldn't have got that support.
Yeah.
So, you know, that same thing with like just kind of giving them some information about the music industry and understanding that some of these really big platforms, they're not set up in a way to support small artists or independent artists or up and coming artists. And it's a little bit like you have to pay to play system, you know, unless you've got, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars to spend on, you know, really high-end marketing, and you know the right people who can put you in front of the right people, and it's like this really big inner niche Hollywood thing, then like those companies, those pathways are not going to work. And Spotify is like that. You can put your music on Spotify, but you do have to pay to upload it, and then the amount they pay is so minimal that you wouldn't even see $1, you know. And so I think for me, from all my streaming platforms, and this is going to probably sound a little bit crazy because I've been, you know, a musician for 15 years and I've had my music online for, you know, a good chunk of that as well. Like in terms of royalty payouts from Spotify plays and YouTube plays and all of those things, in 15 years I've received $50.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Wow.
And you know how many thousands of dollars it costs to fund an album, and yet I'm paying, you know, all these thousands of dollars from my own. I'm having to go and work, make this money to record this music.
Yes.
And I'm giving this music, and I'm basically giving it for free, you know. And they've got, but you see, Spotify's got a niche in the market. They've got that control over the market. They're like, if you want your music to reach an audience, you have to use their platform. So for me, it's been a little bit like, okay, so I'm going to put some of my music on Spotify for free, so that when audiences are looking for me, they'll find me there. But then I'm going to start recording more albums, which I release personally and that I never put on Spotify, so that I can sell those. And even with my last album, I sold it for, first one was 2 years. I sold it independently before I put it on Spotify. And the next one was about 4 months. I just worked on selling downloads first.
Yep.
But, you know, it's a lot of work. And even keeping social media accounts alive, it's a lot of time and energy. And there's no money coming back, yet music, it's constantly costs money for me. So that's where, you know, my vision about the whole thing has changed. And what you're talking about before, Toddy, this new platform is called Patreon. It's created by artists for artists. And it's really amazing because it basically, as a fan, you can directly fund your artist, and that artist can directly use that funds to make art and then give it straight back to you. So I think of it as like a pay it forward. So that's my vision, really, is to get all those people who love and support my music to join up on Patreon as a supporter, and, you know, offer like a small monthly donation or a big monthly donation, you know, however much like they want to contribute to me being able to create more. And it's for those people who believe in me and believe in what I'm creating and the quality of what I create and the purity of what I create as well. And they're seeing that and going, yeah, I want more of that in the world, and I want more people to be able to access that. So that way, you know, I can get a regular income from these fans who are donating regularly, and then I create that art and I can just give it away. And it feels good too, because I'm not like charging for it. Then I'm like, I can only do this because you gave to me. Of course, I'm now just giving to you. So I think it's a really beautiful setup, and I'm excited about the future of independent artists using Patreon, and also for people being able to, instead of donating to big companies that take lots of cuts, like people changing the way they donate and actually donating to a person who's creating something.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and it's decentralizing, isn't it? So it's like spreading it out. Yeah. And I saw that one of your options called Connection is where people can actually work with you one-on-one. Like you will talk to anybody from around the world and have a phone call once a month and actually get to know them, and they get to know you. And just the other day you told me a story that blew my mind about Laura. Can you share that? Because I think it falls into this like diversity and, you know, families and nature kids. I don't know if you know the story.
No, I don't think I do.
I think Laura would be really happy for me to share it. There's 2 stories I can tell you about that, actually. But those Connection patrons have been really dear and special to me. You know, they're people who believe in me at the level where they're like, I want to donate $100 a month to your art. Yeah. And Laura was a person that I met very briefly at a festival. I was wandering alone, and I had this intention to be a service to others in whatever way that looked. And then there on the ground, I found this fluffy panda, and it was like a big giant panda. And I was like, okay, great, me and Panda. And I waited for a long time, but nobody came back for the panda. So Panda came with me, and Panda got called Mr. Snuggles. And so he started donating hugs to people who looked sad, people who needed hugs. I was like, I'm going to be the hug giver out with this panda, like, here, hug the panda. And I saw this woman sitting there, and she looked like she was having a hard time. So I come up with Mr. Snuggles. I'm like, here, look, this is Mr. Snuggles. He's a good bear. He likes hugs. And, little did I know, she was going through something at the time around trying to understand unconditional love and how to love people even when you don't like their actions. Mm-hmm. And she's actually sitting there, like, talking to the universe, like saying, please, like, just send me an angel, help me learn what unconditional love is, And here I show up with this panda bear, like, yeah, he loves you, cuddles. Probably a little bit more detail to the story than you were expecting, but
I didn't know that part.
Yeah, and so there I am sitting, and she looks like she's just like, there's a lot of noise and she's a little bit off, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna like give her a little musical offering. So I said, can I sing in your ear? And I started just singing in her ear this very beautiful harmonic tune, just because I was like, I know that music impacts the heart, and a beautiful harmonic tune like bathing your body can just suddenly make you feel good again, So I did that. I just did some toning and some singing in her ear, and amongst all this noise in this festival, and she just felt better, And I gave her my contact details and carried on. And she messaged me a few days later and was really like sharing with me her story and thanking me for it. And so at that point, I invited her to support me on Patreon, and she did. She joined up as a Connection patron, and then we had monthly phone calls, which we both really loved. And she told me all about her life, and I told her all about my life. And she ended up like witnessing, different situations I was going through, and with the whole, like in the time where COVID was happening, and she was traveling, and I kept telling her about this place called Cairns and how she should come and how I would come back. And so she ended up moving to Cairns and loved it. And in this process, she's also shared with me that she was pregnant, and so she moved up to Cairns, and then I came back just at the time, just before she gave birth, and then I ended up being there for her birth, and we had a beautiful home birth. And so when you're talking about like people who join up for my Connection Patreon, they're like, I want your energy, your presence to be in my life. I want to have a direct relationship with you, and there's no kind of predetermining what that looks like. It's individual for each person, Another one of my Connection patrons, he through the conversations we had, and look, he found me online. I did a live Instagram. I'd liked a bunch of random people from artists that I liked, and then I did a live Instagram and was playing these beautiful songs, and he was really touched by it, and he signed up because I asked when I was doing that live. And then we had these beautiful conversations where he shared with me, something he'd been going through, which was his wife actually tragically passed away. And, I became like a person in his life who held like a loving space for him, and through my music, and I'd sing to him on the call. We did video call, and like for him to just have someone to share with and be really received. And yeah, it's just so beautiful to have that opportunity to have a real connection with those artists, and then that never goes away, even if they're only supporting at that level for a period of time. Like, you come to know a person very well through having those one-on-one conversations.
For sure. And you've been doing coaching as well. It sounds like that's woven into what you do there. Have you been studying coaching recently?
Yeah, that's definitely something. I've done a lot of, study through my life of human psychology, through children, teenagers, myself, relationships, partners. Like, I've been doing a lot of landmark programs, which helped me as well with a whole lot more tools of how to support people through, things they're going through, or how to find power in situations that they didn't have power before. And I think a lot of that, I did a lot of coaching with the girls on personal things as well. And I do definitely have a vision working more in the family context with coaching as well.
Yay. Wow.
I think we got past question 1 just then.
Yeah.
with stop question A, B, C, and D. Thank you for sharing.
So much. Thank you, Sunny Ray. Amazing. I think during all of that chatting, we've covered a little bit of the next question, but basically if you want to, summarize or provide us with some more, it'd be great. But why do you do what you do? What drives you? Where does this all come from?
Just love. Yeah, it's all just love. I love learning. I love co-creation. So anything where I'm creating with others is incredibly engaging with me, but in a way where both people want to co-create. So the right co-creators, when you're coming from the same foundational values, and you're like, okay, we have an intention and a task and a big blank canvas of how we're going to create that. Like, that's fun for me. I like surprising people. I think I think when I was younger with all the circus stuff, I liked that element of surprise and being able to do something that was really difficult that no one else could do, And maybe with the music emotionally, catching someone off guard or, that. Why do I do it? Because there's too many things in life that can get us down. And so if we're not constantly creating something that is uplifting, then it's too easy to be influenced by what's happening around us. And I want to be a creator, not a follower.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Not to discredit time for integration and rest and relaxation and going inward. That's important as an artist too.
Yeah. Thank you. Okay, our next question again, I think it's been woven in a little, but can you tell us a little bit more how you use at the current principle that our module is use and value diversity? How do you use that in your life?
Yeah, well, I actually spent a lot of time with Tennille when I first came over to Australia, and this concept of valuing diversity was something that really did impact me when I was learning about permaculture principles. And I've really worked on it, applying that to my life, especially with people. Instead of taking a box and being like, people have to fit in this box, I'm going, this is what this person is. How do they fit in this picture? How do we utilize the strengths and the passions and the values of the people around us to co-create? And when I'm creating events, that's something I've really checked in with people, is just be like, what element of what we're creating, there's a lot of roles here, so what element of this lights you up? What inspires you? Where do you see yourself wanting to participate? Because I don't want you to just do stuff that you don't like. I want you to do the part that you enjoy, so that everyone loves what we're creating. That's one way. And like I said before, just how to weave as many things into what I'm creating, my book, for example, using some of those teachings for that I'm teaching children about life. It's some of that coaching I'm putting into the book, and maybe one day I'll paint my own pictures for the books too, but not quite at that level yet. But see, that would be a good reason for me to upskill my artistry with painting and drawing, because I'm like, okay, I have this project and there's a need. So that's I don't see that need as a deficit. I see that as an opportunity.
Beautiful.
To either enroll a new person in my life and get to have a relationship with someone who is a fantastic artist and co-create, or to upskill myself in that area.
Beautiful. Great examples of using and valuing diversity. Nice, Sunny Ray. Thank you. What advice could you give our Nature Kids families on being earth carers?
It's a big question.
Well, so much.
I think valuing the small things is a good place to start. You know, I was walking through a garden with a baby a few days ago, and we were just standing in front of the different tree trunks and touching and looking at the different textures. I think it's all about having a relationship. Like, I was thinking this child, through seeing a particular texture over and over again, will start to recognize it. You know, it's like they start to come to know that tree as that color, as that shape, as that feel. So I think, like, not getting caught up in giving children like a whole lot of toys, but actually having less, like less is more, like no toys, so that when they're looking to relate with something, they start relating with what's naturally present in their environment, with the bug, with the cat, with the leaves, with the sticks. You know, kids can play for hours with sticks, you know, or with a patch of grass, or with a fence they can climb over, you know. So I think it's just really about nurturing their relationship with the simple things. And part of the way that I like to nurture that relationship is through storytelling, you know. So, like, I'll tell them a story about that leaf. I'll tell them a story about that tree, about that fence, you know. And that story doesn't just have to be about the object. The story is about the relationship. So I might say, like, this is your fence. You love this fence. You always climb over this fence, or you can almost climb over this fence. One day you're going to be able to climb over this fence, and you'll feel really great about yourself because you'll know that you've grown up strong. You know what I mean? Like, that would be an example of me kind of putting a story there for them, so that when they look at that fence, they're like, I'm going to climb over that fence, and then I'm going to feel good because I know I'm strong. You know, so it's like we as parents, as adults, as mentors have this ability to plant a vision. We're actually telling children what things are to them. And this is what a lot of parents don't realize, is that they're imitating the stories that their parents told them without them realizing, and they're not actually taking full advantage of the opportunity they have to be the one creating the type of relationship. So yeah, I'd say make a bigger deal of the relationships with the small and simple things.
Beautiful. Yay.
That's powerful right there. Really beautiful. Thank you, Sunny. Can you tell us something that you love about nature?
Well, right at this moment it just started raining, so I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the first thing that pops into my mind, because it just showed up in my life. Like, what I love most is like what is real and what is present, you know. Like, no point loving something that is an imagination when you've got something that's real right there. So today I'm loving the rain. At sunset, I love the sunset. When I'm in the river, I love the river. You know? But definitely sunshine and water are two of my absolute most favorite things. I love the sound of water. I love making percussion on water and moving the water and seeing what sounds it makes and splashing the water. For me, water is this beautiful harmonic instrument, and it's an example of a way of being that we can learn from, you know. And also the sunlight is that warmth, and it's just that's what I aspire to be in the world, is like a ray of sunshine for others, to bring love and warmth and that feeling of well-being. So yeah, that's something.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Sunny ray, full of warmth and sunshine, and flows like water, you know, diversifies like water does. It's beautiful. Thank you so much, Sunny. You shared some, I've taken down some mental notes today. You've shared some beautiful wisdom. Thank you.
Big appreciation for our time here, and we'll call it a close now, because it's so much information for people to now integrate. And but we'll pop some links down below of this video and make it easy for people to be able to connect with you. And thank you so much for being this month's change maker and inspiring change in all of our little people around the world. It's such a beautiful thing. So Till next time.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, and I'll put a link to my book down in the chat as well. So this book is called From Rainbows to Light, and it's really about bringing all that diversity into unity. So you're going to love it.
I already love it. Nova loves it. But yeah, share it with all of the other children. And also your music as well, you know. It's like my daughter loves to sing along to it. It's actually
Sophia, we have your songs on play every morning. Actually, it's a part of our chill tunes playlist, and we sing along every morning. Thank you, Sunny Ray.
So much conscious wisdom just in your music alone. So thank you for being you, and as we say in our program, until next time, keep playing.